Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Raquel.
And this is the Whole Shebang Podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 11.
You're rocking so much, it's so distracting.
We are in our new podcast room today.
Yeah, which hopefully you'll get to see on video at some point.
Yes, we are planning on doing podcasting videos and maybe even starting up a YouTube channel. And we're going to see how that goes.
So if you hear weird rocking, it's because we have these new comfy spinny chairs that also rock back and forth. But I am hitting my head on the wall a little.
So, you know.
Any weird noises, please ignore.
Ignore the weird noises. So...
So what's today's video?
So today's episode is...
Video. I said video. See, look at me go.
See, you're just getting ahead of yourself. That's all. So today's episode is going to be another little travel stories episode. This one's going to be probably short and sweet. Mm-hmm. But we also are going to touch base on kind of what we've been doing for the past... little bit. All of our previous recordings, so from episode 1 to 10, have been pre-recorded just because Ricky is away at school in Toronto and it's a little bit hard for us to
do it over the phone.
Yeah. So she's back now for the summer, so all of our podcasts are going to be quite live, and we'll
try our best to do them as a bit closer instead of months in advance until probably September to December again.
Yeah, which they'll be pre-recorded, but we hope to give you some great content within the time frame.
Yeah, we also wanted just to share some of the upcoming things we've got planned and talk about how it's been going. We did reach our milestone. We hit episode 10 last week, or 2 weeks ago.
We did, and you know what? I am surprised we made it this far.
I'm even more surprised that we've managed to come back and sit down and are now recording episode 11, which I didn't think was going to happen.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss with me whether or not we're going to continue things.
As we've already previously mentioned, the very failed YouTube series.
Yes.
Called Big Red's Adventures.
Yes. But hey, if you want any adventure videos,
let us know.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a poll. Maybe drop a comment. Let us know if you do want adventure videos. Let us know if you want paranormal videos. Because
or more of me talking about school, because I can always talk about school.
Yeah. But yeah, the paranormal videos, I would just like to say the podcast is doing very well. And the paranormal activities episode we had is doing great.
Yeah, that's our biggest hit.
That is our biggest hit. So if you want more, let us know. Drop us a comment, drop us a like, drop us a follow. I am super pumped. We got 8 followers. That is amazing.
On Spotify.
If you are listening elsewhere, I haven't checked the follower count, so I'm sorry. But hey, if you're following, that's great. Please leave your name in the comment section, and you know what? We'll shout you out next episode.
So that kind of leads us into how the podcast is going. You already mentioned it's going great. And our paranormal one did the best. And we do plan to do more on that kind of line in the future. And we have potentially considered going and actually recording from a haunted hotel. So that might be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
If we get around to it.
But you know what? If you guys want to see the haunted hotel where we record there, and
it is a pretty hotel.
You know what? If you want us to do stuff in the hotel, let us know. I don't know how...
Wait. Don't say stuff like that, implying other stuff. That makes me so uncomfortable.
Be uncomfortable.
Thanks, friend.
Welcome, buddy. I will clarify on the stuff. I just mean if you want us to do a little bit of a paranormal investigation, other than podcast recording, we could also record that for you and,
As we've established, one of us is very superstitious and the other is not. So that should be interesting.
Exactly. Maybe we'll fart so hard the curtains will move and I'll think it's paranormal.
Time to bring out the Ouija boards.
I would do a Ouija board in the hotel.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Maybe we need to get Judy in on that.
Yeah. That'll be a fun video. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it's been going. It's been fun. Well, like we mentioned, we pre-recorded up until now. So it is kind of weird for us to be back doing this again in our new room, trying to figure everything out, setting everything up again, getting back into it. Because we did kind of record all of those episodes in 3 days.
I think so.
We really pushed them hard.
Yeah, I had a week off at Christmas and you were going back to school. So we pushed those out just to start the podcast. Because I know it had been something that I had been wanting to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't start something and start it hard, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, so that's how it's going. But let's talk about what's upcoming. So today's episode is on
travel adventures.
We're just gonna kind of talk about some of the places we've been together or alone or with other people, some of the upcoming things that we're gonna be doing, hopefully doing. So that's this episode. Our next episode is actually going to be 2 episodes, 12 and 13. They're going to be 2 parts.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch a very interesting episode of Ancient Aliens, which has to do with Mesopotamia, so I can yak about it. And that should be pretty interesting. The archaeology one didn't do too badly.
No.
It was a bit breathy on my part.
Yes, and for those of you who are listening and do catch the breaths, we are working on it. We are all amateurs, and you know what? We are not paying people to do this for us with regards to editing or anything like that. So it's all us, and it is a learning curve.
For sure.
So bear with us.
Yeah, so we're going to watch the episode on the Anunnaki, who are gods of Mesopotamia, and they believed to have come from the 12th planet, which we'll talk about.
We will. And as soon as you had told me about the next episode's topic,
got pretty excited.
We got pretty excited because you mentioned a little bit of
some true crime, too, coming up in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I started listening to books on the Anunnaki so I could understand it better and maybe have an actual argument.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's actually those books that I made you read, which we'll talk about next 2 weeks from now, that started Ancient Aliens.
Was it? I didn't know it started it, but okay.
He's the one who started those theories, so that's where it comes from.
Interesting.
A lot of the people who work on that show are affiliated with the author of The 12th Planet. And it's kind of almost culty, so it's also kind of fun. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different themes brought into one very interesting episode of Ancient Aliens, which I have seen the trailer for and not actually watched. So, and then after that, we're going to share our dreams and do some interesting dream interpretation. We've been documenting our dreams for the last month or so. I have more than you do. Yeah,
I don't dream often, but hey, if I remember to write them down and I take some melatonin, I got some pretty good stuff for you guys.
Yeah, mine are every day. They're always very random. And they feature anything from my brother stealing a motorbike to being in class. So you never know what's going to come out of it. So that'll be fun. And then we're also going to do tarot readings for each other.
Yes.
Which will be kind of cool if we can get the camera set up for that.
That would be awesome. And we're going to try and do that. And for tarot readings, let's go. I have oracle cards. I have runes. I have
fairy cards. I also have rune cards.
So we got our bases covered for that. So stay tuned for that episode. That'll be a fun episode.
Yeah, and then episode 15, we're just going to give you the next 5, is going to be our next fandom episode. I like this sort of format where we give you a fandom episode every 5. It kind of helps us structure it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and if there are more episodes that you guys want to hear, you guys want to see in maybe an upcoming YouTube channel, please let us know. Drop us a like on them. or just comment on your favorite videos and just let us know that you like them so we can do more of them for you.
And eventually you'll also hear from Judy again. I have her possibly for our next fandom episode because it's also a show she really likes. It's Apothecary Diaries. If you haven't seen it, now's your time to go watch it before we give you spoilers.
Yeah, get caught up because there will be spoilers. Plenty of spoilers.
We'll probably be done season 2 at this point because that comes out July 21st. So that'll be pretty great. You need to catch up too.
I do. I'm almost caught up. So.
And then just a little snippet of things that are to come, just to give everyone an idea. We have some more friendship things where we're going to do some fun quizzes and stuff. We're going to talk more about our personal lives. We might do some graveyard visits and share some of the things we've seen in graveyards because we like to go every year. We'll talk about plants and gardening, which we just spent the whole day doing, so that'll be really fun.
Yes, so if we sound tired, it's because we got the garden done, finally.
And we also have things like superstitions. We're going to talk about our books. We have some serious episodes coming up where we're going to talk about things a little bit more serious and less funny, but we'll still try to keep the humor. So yeah, all that's to come, and then we're at Christmas already, so things come by fast. I think we have 16 episodes left.
16. Wow.
I think. No, maybe more.
Well, you know what, guys? With all the episodes that we have been releasing bi-weekly, let us know if you would like a weekly schedule.
16. There's 26 episodes planned for the year.
Okay, 16 episodes left.
Oh, time goes by fast.
It does.
Okay, so let's start. Let's talk about travel adventures. So let's start by talking about the Vancouver trip.
Yes. Okay. So explain to them why I ended up going to Vancouver.
So I lived in Vancouver for my undergrad, outside of Vancouver, but I went to Vancouver for my undergrad degree. And I think almost every year I lived there, either you or Judy or other friend came to visit me. And my mom had made this deal that she would pay one way there for each of my friends, which was amazing. Shout out to my mom. And I also helped pay for that as well. So each of my friends came out to visit me and we did fun little things. This particular time, I was driving my car back. So I had driven there with my brothers, and then I was driving back. So my mom said, if Bailey will drive with you, I will pay to fly her there, which was very nice of her.
It was. Thank you.
But it also helped me because this was a very long drive. It's 3 days-ish. If you break it up. If I did it myself, I did it in 3 days. And you're going through the mountains, which is very dangerous, very scary to be alone. And I did it alone a couple times after. Did not enjoy it. So it was just really nice to have a friend and somebody else who can drive.
Yeah.
Because we can just drive straight through. So Bailey came to visit me in Vancouver for, I think, how long were you there? A couple days?
Yeah, I think I was there wasn't I there for a week?
I don't know if it was a whole week.
Maybe about 4 days.
It was a couple days for sure. My grandparents were also visiting at the same time because I was living with my family. So that was a pretty busy house. I remember that. So I had this little yellow car. And it was a cheapy car that my mom helped me buy. It was, a couple $1,000s from Kijiji. And the brakes went while I was driving with my grandfather down the highway. And I pulled up into my mechanic and I said, I can't drive this. Can you please fix it? And he put it up and he looked and he said, well, you don't have any brakes on the back, so that's why you can't drive this. And then was horrified to find out I had driven on the highway like that. But I had to get it there somehow. So that was 2 days before you arrived and we were about to drive that, all the way, mostly across the country. So it was a little scary. I remember it being, okay, I need to get this car fixed.
Yeah, and you know what? You didn't tell me any of that until years later.
Yeah.
I don't think you told me any of that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You would not have been happy driving that car if you had known.
No.
We made it.
We did. We survived.
So do you remember what we did when we were in Vancouver?
Oh, we did tons of stuff. I remember that you usually wake up later than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember laying in your room in Vancouver watching funny cat videos every morning, waiting for you to get up.
Uh-huh.
And I think you rolled over at one point and you're like, what are you doing? Because I was just there giggling. And I'm like, I'm watching funny cat videos.
Yep. That sounds about right.
And you just kind of like groaned at me and rolled over again. What else did we do? I do remember we went and we ate at a fancy Japanese restaurant.
Yes.
That was delicious.
That was really good.
We went to the pier.
White Rock.
Yes, to see the ocean.
The beach was nice. I recommend White Rock to anybody who goes in that area. It does get kind of busy in the summer, but if you go at low tide, you can walk straight onto the beach and under the pier, and the water is quite nice there.
And then I also remember we went to a glacier park, wasn't it? I think it was called Glacier National Park?
No, that was Golden Years.
Oh.
I'm pulling up pictures now. I'll post some of these on the Instagram. So there's Golden Years. I also dragged you to my school.
You did.
I went through the Museum of Anthropology at UBC.
Yeah.
And we went through the Natobe Japanese Memorial Garden, which is still one of my favorite places.
Oh, that garden was amazing. It was so
Imagine
pretty.
if we could make your garden that nice.
Oh, it would never happen. I'd forget to water half of it.
It's true. But it's such a beautiful place. It's very quiet and peaceful. And I brought everybody I knew there.
Yes. You know what? I actually did quite like your school. It was very
nice.
Yeah, it was like stepping back in time. Like there was ivy up the buildings. The weather was gorgeous. It was beautiful. BC itself was just amazing.
There's a reason that campus is used as a film set.
Yeah, I can see why.
We also did Stanley Park.
Oh, yes, we did.
Because we took the horse-drawn carriage ride. Don't you remember?
I do. I still have pictures of the white horses. And that inspired me just a teeny tiny bit to train my horse for the carriage.
It was fun. So we stopped at the totem poles. We walked through the gardens. And then we drove.
And we stopped along the way.
Yeah, so we spent the night... Was it Banff, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, the first night I think we stopped in Banff.
Which was fine, because we're like, we didn't have a plan. We didn't book any hotels. We didn't know how long exactly we were going to be. We just said, let's just drive and figure it out. I really wanted to stop in Drumheller to visit the Royal Tyrrell Museum with the dinosaurs, because I love dinosaurs. So we went from Banff to the Tyrrell Museum, which is only a couple hours, toured the museum, and then proceeded to drive all the way between the Manitoba and Ontario border, where we stopped for the night. Why did we stop for the night?
So I ended up tailing a semi-truck that was in front of us because if you've ever been to Ontario, we have a deer population, a very big deer population. And they like to come out at night, especially in spring. And I kept on seeing shadows of deer that were not there out of my peripheral vision. So my answer to this, I think it was because at that point, we had been driving for almost 24 hours.
Almost, yeah.
So we were both exhausted, but we were looking for a place to stop. So anyway,
we didn't want to stop in Winnipeg because that was expensive.
Yeah.
At that point, it was 5 a.m. or something. Like, let's just keep going.
Yeah, we're like, we're not tired. Let's just keep going.
I remember seeing the deer eyes on the corner of the road as we were driving, just glowing in the headlights. Yeah, it was pretty scary.
Yeah, and then I decided, okay, well, if we're gonna go into Ontario and we're gonna hit a deer, let's let a semi hit it first. Because then there's going to be nothing left. So we pulled in behind the semi because he had great high beams. And like I said, if he's going to hit a deer, he can hit the deer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we followed him, I think, all the way to the Ontario border where we did stop for the night.
Yeah, so there's all the provinces have little info centers. So we stopped at the Ontario info center because they had a bathroom.
Yeah.
It was accessible 24 hours and had flush toilets, which was quite nice. So we stopped. There were also other trucks and things stopped there, so we weren't completely alone, which was fine. I hate sleeping in cars. I have done it a couple times, but I need to cover the windows because I have this weird fear I'm going to wake up to someone staring at me. You were fine. You were out.
Oh, yeah. I can sleep anywhere.
I did not really sleep. And then we woke up a couple hours later and started driving again.
Yeah, you started driving again. I went back to bed.
And then we switched when I couldn't do it anymore, and you drove the rest of the way home. And then we both got to my parents' house. Instead of driving you all the way home because you lived even further, we just stopped at my parents' and slept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a full day of driving.
Yeah, and we actually got it done instead of 3 days. I think we got it done in 2.
Yeah.
So...
Because we drove straight through.
We drove straight through. We didn't really have a plan, but it was kind of like, okay, let's just get back.
Yeah, let's just go. Keep going.
So... we got back, and that was the trip. It was great. I would definitely go to Vancouver again.
Okay.
It was gorgeous. Maybe not during the summer because that's where all the wildfires seem to happen.
Yeah,
although we've been getting quite a few here in Ontario this year.
I would recommend February, March, even April is nice. If you're driving, definitely after April because the mountains are scary.
Yeah, those were some sharp turns.
Yeah, I did it in a snowstorm and it was absolutely horrifying. Do not recommend. Check the weather.
Yeah, always check the weather if you're in Canada. We can get 4 seasons in a day.
It's true. So that was, I think, our first trip together.
Yeah, I think so.
And then after that, we decided to go camping.
We did. And you know what? I wanted to go camping. Was it me who wanted to go camping a little bit further away?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we ended up, there is a plethora of camping spots around where we live, especially provincial parks.
Mm-hmm. So we booked at a provincial park, which has some nice waterfalls and a lake. And it's kind of on the big lake, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful campground.
It is. And it's called Rainbow Falls.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. And if you wanted to, Rainbow Falls also has a missing persons case.
Oh, great.
It does. And they cover it in Crime Junkie podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. So if you're interested, go check out their podcast on the Rainbow Falls in Ontario. But yes, we did go to Rainbow Falls. I had my dog.
It was our first camping trip and the first time I had gone tenting. No, we went tenting before once.
Yeah, but this was...
like our first trip.
Our first trip.
We only did a one-night camp trip.
Yes, this was... we were there for 3 days, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be there one more day, I think, but we left early.
We did. We did leave early.
It started to rain a lot.
It did. And so this was also, I think, the first camping trip. Well, I know it had been one of my first camping trips that I had went on for an extended period of time without a seasoned
camper. Yeah.
Camper.
Our parents or families.
Yeah. Like without our parents and that. And so when we had set up our area, we didn't put the tarp over the tent, which is what is recommended.
Yeah,
we instead used it as a kitchen area.
Which was needed.
It was needed, but definitely should have put it over the tent.
Oops. So it was, I don't know, 4 a.m, and I don't know why. I'm always the one who wakes up. Even when I camp with my mom, it's always me who gets rained on. I don't know why. So I feel this dripping. And I'm ignoring it. And I think by 5 a.m, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I went to wake you up and I shook you awake. I said, Bailey, the tent is leaking. There's water everywhere. We need to pack up. Like, I can't stay here.
And just so you all know, I sleep like the dead. When I say I can sleep anywhere, I can sleep anywhere and under any conditions.
You were very hard to wake up. And when you finally did wake up, you patted your inflatable mattress and noticed it was wet and somehow failed to mention to remember that I had just told you that it was raining in the tent. And you went and yelled at your dog for peeing in the bed.
Because my dog, ever since she has been a puppy, has had a hormone problem, which causes her to urinate in her sleep. She does it a lot, and she refuses to wear diapers. But when she was younger, I didn't realize that she had to be on hormones to help fix it. So she would just pee in the bed occasionally, and that's what would happen. It would get wet. And it would be pee, and I would have to wake up in the middle of the night and change the sheets and whatever else and put fans on, and it wasn't a good time. So being half asleep, yes, I did think that was happening because she was sleeping with me.
And the poor dog got up, sulking and sad and whimpering, and went into her kennel and just sighed because she knew she did nothing wrong, but she was getting yelled at anyway. And then I think I like hit you almost to get you all the way awake and said, it wasn't her, it's raining in the tent.
Yeah. And then after that, we were cold, we were wet, we fixed what we could, and then we just kind of said, okay, that's enough. Let's pack up. Let's get out.
Yeah, I do recall a 6 a.m. trip to Tim Hortons.
I do recall that too. Timmy's at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the time too Aria ran through the fire.
Yes, your dog was prone to that. This was when she was lying too close to it. Because she was laying right beside it and started burning her tummy because she's very short furred. The time she actually ran through the fire was when we did the murder mystery party at your parents' house.
Oh, right.
And poor Judy was stuck there trying to keep her out of it. We just watched her run straight through.
She's
special.
Cute.
She's special.
She's a very cute dog.
She's a sweetheart. She's just dumb.
Yeah, she's missing a few Fruit Loops.
Since she was a puppy, it's nothing new.
It's not. All my animals in some way have to be a little... They have to be on the short bus, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all take after their mommy.
Yeah, we all ride that bus.
So yeah, that was our camping trip. And I think those are the only trips we've really gone on together. We've talked about, obviously, our trip almost a year ago to the UK.
Yeah. I mean, we've done more solo adventures, like day adventures or anything like that.
So I've gone on a few things for school and school trips and stuff like that. And with my family.
Yeah. But, I mean, we are looking at doing more trips together now.
Yeah, so we had originally planned to go to New Orleans.
We did. Unfortunately, if you're not living under a rock and you've seen the news, we have foregone going to the States. For
now, I'm probably going to have to go to Boston in November, but I'm going to keep my eyes on the situation and we'll see.
Yes, that is a big question
but
right
hey,
now.
If I get detained at podcast from jail, why not?
They'll ship you to El Salvador.
Vacation, come get me.
I'm not going to El Salvador.
Thanks so much.
Hey, you're straight and white and going across the border.
Yeah,
Imagine if I were to go across the border.
Yeah, but you have the advantage of being white too.
Yeah, but I'm a lesbian and I got tattoos.
I also have tattoos.
Yeah, but you're straight. That's all they're going to care about.
They don't know that. If they look at my phone, it's mostly you.
Oh, change my name.
I'm going to have to.
Make me Billy.
I'm going to have to, log out and turn off my Instagram account. I'm going to have to hide the fact I do this podcast. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Make your ringtone.
At least it's Boston. Boston seems to be a pretty safe city so far.
Yeah, you've went there quite a bit.
I've gone twice now. But yeah, so we canceled. Actually, it was supposed to be this week.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be going there.
Oh, on the New Orleans trip, though, before we get off of it, it is, it's sad that we're not going. And I do really want to go at some point, hopefully once everything settles down in the States. But I think we missed a bullet not going this week.
Yeah.
Because they had the plantation burned down.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about that in the news. But now, a little tidbit that I found on TikTok, they lost Annabelle. The doll, the haunted freaking doll, they lost her in New Orleans. Why would you lose Annabelle in New Orleans?
Are you scared of Annabelle?
Of course I am. I hate dolls. With a passion, I hate dolls.
So when we go to the haunted hotel, we're bringing some dolls with us?
No.
We're bringing some dolls with us.
You can bring the doll and then you could take it back to your house. Actually, I have just the dolls. I don't think I ever threw them away. I bought mystery boxes at one point with me and my friend when mystery boxes were a big thing. And it was a $50 mystery box and we got 2 dolls with it. It was like a little prince and a little princess. Creepiest freaking things. I'm not
telling you I'm bringing the dolls. I'm going to sneak them into my bag and move them around the room to really freak you out. One of us is going to have fun.
And it won't be me.
It won't be you. It's just like when I hid my face all over Judy's mouth.
Okay, but I'm taking these dolls home.
That's what you think.
Well, put them in a salt circle.
Every time I come over, I'm going to bring them and I'm going to move them somewhere until you see them.
I'm going to express ship them to New Orleans and just be like, to the address of Annabelle. Wherever she is, here are her friends.
Okay, so you're happy we're not going.
After everything in the news and what's been going on down there, yeah, I'm kind of happy we're not going.
But that doesn't mean we don't have upcoming travel plans that we've discussed.
No, we do.
We've been thinking about Greece.
Yeah, Greece has been on my list of, I would actually say, one of many places that I do want to visit.
But we decided that instead of Greece, we're going to go to Iceland.
Yes.
Next year. A year from now.
Iceland will be our next big trip because apparently Iceland is only a 3.5 hour flight from Toronto.
No, it's about 5.
Oh, okay. Well, still shorter.
It's only $800 round trip, so...
Oh, that's... To get out of the town we live in, $800 round trip is cheap.
Yeah.
Even though that's from Toronto, we still have to get to Toronto, but...
Well, if I'm already there, I don't have to pay to come here.
I do.
Oh, sucker. Because I think it takes 2.5 hours to fly between where we live and Toronto.
Yeah.
And it cost me, just to get here for the summer, about $600. So I could have been almost all the way to Iceland.
Fair. I would have been to Iceland.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Okay, so before we end today's episode, we're just going to tell you some of the places we've traveled to and why we traveled there, who we traveled with.
One of the other places I've traveled to, well, before everything happened with the States, I went over to the States for my first big solo trip to Duluth, where I almost ended up dying.
That's nothing new, though. You always almost end up dying.
No, but this was like I was going to write my own obituary in the hotel room.
Oh, boy.
I told you this, didn't I?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't tell you the story?
I don't think so.
Oh.
We'll tell the story.
Okay. So anyway, I was going down to Duluth for a dog show. And when I had looked up hotels, I wanted to stay in like the Radisson. The Radisson was like $300 a night. So it was going to cost me like $900. And the closer it got, the more expensive things became. So me being young and dumb, I decided, well, you know what? I have just gotten myself an SUV. I'm going to sleep in the back of my SUV. So this dog show was in July. And I was not anticipating the temperatures to be like 25 above.
Why didn't you bring a tent?
It was in a parking lot. So I had made curtains for the windows, but I didn't actually get like
Bailey,
actual sun reflecting curtains. So anyway, I go to the dog show, drive down's fine. I park, I get everything ready. I get like my mattress thing into the back of the car. It's all cozy. And I got there at night. So it was still cool. So I slept the first night, no problem. I get up, I go to the dog show, but then my car's been sitting in the parking lot all day. And you know what it's like to get into a hot car after it's been like 30 above.
Mm-hmm.
So I go and I lay down in my car after the dog show and I just start to sweat.
Mm.
Like I have the windows open, everything. I was just sweating. And it took me about 2 hours in that car before I was like, I need to find somewhere to stay. I can't. But this is after I had been gallivanting around. So I had went to what's the lobster Red Lobster.
Mm.
I had went there because we didn't have one and I am a sucker for seafood. So I had went to Red Lobster, ate, brought home leftovers. And so finally I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go call this motel, this really, really sketchy motel. But I was like, hey, can I be put up for, I just need tonight and the next night. And they're like, yeah, sure. $600. And I was like, oh, done. Do you have air conditioning? They're like, yep. And I'm like, yeah, done. Take my money. So I ended up staying in there. Pretty sure I heard someone got murdered because it was one of those hotels. But so woke up the next morning. I was like, air conditioning. This is so nice. They didn't have a fridge in the room. So my Red Lobster leftovers couldn't be refrigerated. However,
don't tell me you ate them.
I did.
Why would you eat them?
I was hungry. It was morning. It was leftovers. I didn't think of it.
I knew where this was going, and I was really hopeful it wasn't going where I thought it was.
It's always gonna go where you think it's gonna go with me, okay? The meme I sent you that one time of that aardvark just being like, I'm still standing. Yes, that is true. How? Don't know. But anyway, I get to the dog show and I do my day, and around like 3:00, I'm like, ooh, I feel a little weird. I feel a little not good. And so I have just started drinking a lot more water. I'm not really a big water drinker. So whichever, I destroyed that bathroom. But then I was also supposed to go see a groomer down there, one of the only master groomers in the States, who breeds poodles, which was the breed that I went down to like learn up on and see about getting. So I ended up going to her kennel after this because I'm like, you know what? I puked it out. It's fine. It's good. We're good. I don't remember actually driving to her place.
Oh.
Because I was just like cold sweating. It was coming out both ends. I can't remember. All I remember is, so I walk into her kennel area and I was like, I need to puke right now. So I ended up puking in her bathtub, her bathing area in her shop.
Oh, lovely.
And then she sat me down and she gave me a little water dish that she would give for the dogs, because that was all she had. She had just had a dog have puppies, and the dog was extremely protective of the puppies. So if anyone went into the house besides her,
mm-hmm.
this dog would kill the puppy. It's a defense mechanism, and you don't want that to happen, especially with a lot of these dog show peoples, because like her dogs were selling for over 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, don't want to risk that. So I would sit on the chair and she's like, oh, I was hoping we could groom. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to live, honestly. So she was like, well, you know what? I'm going to let these puppies out. So she had given me a garbage can because I had to puke more. It was coming out both ends. It had to come out the other end, but I had no bathroom I could use. So as I'm puking into this bucket, I have puppies dangling off the garbage can. As I'm puking.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
To the point where I'm like, okay, I really wish I could stay, but I really need to go back to the hotel, because if I can't use your bathroom, your bathtub is about to be next.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, fair. So I left. Can't remember the drive back to the hotel. I remember I got to the hotel. And that's when it just kind of went boom and just erupted. I was pretty sure there was blood. And it was, I started shaking. Like I started going into shock. Like I just got cold all over. And like I just got the cold sweats. I started like shaking. And I had 2 bottles of water because I was like, oh, right, I need to drink water. So I crawled into bed, but I couldn't keep anything down. So I crawled into this little hotel bed as I hear people getting murdered on either side of me. And I'm like, I'm dying in bed. But I was like, I'm in the States and I had forgotten to get health insurance.
Jeez.
So I'm like, Fizz, I'm not going to the hospital because they're going to charge me out the wazoo. I would rather die here than pay their medical bills. So yeah, I had ended up setting a timer on my phone for I think every 5 minutes because I was dozing in and out of consciousness. And so I would set the alarm for 5 minutes and it would wake me up and I would take a sip of water. And then I would go back and then another 5 minutes would pass and I'd wake up and I'd take a sip of water until finally I just kind of like conked out for the night. But I was for sure thinking I was going to die.
Food poisoning.
And heat stroke, most likely.
Yep.
So heat stroke and food poisoning combined, that's what you get. And it was not lovely.
That's a missed opportunity on your part too. With the dog groomer.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. I thought you meant like that's a missed opportunity. You could have died.
I mean, yeah.
Heaven would have gained a hell of an angel.
Okay, so that's your first solo trip.
That was my first solo trip. I'm still standing?
Yeah, my first solo trip, I was driving to Vancouver and I got lost outside of Winnipeg. And this was before Google Maps was really a thing. Like my phone would not connect to Google Maps and I'm driving. And I called my mom so she could Google Maps where I was and figure out where I needed to go. That was the most exciting part of my first solo trip.
That's it?
Yeah, sorry. Uneventful. So you've been to Duluth. Where else have you been?
Alone, not many other places.
Well, with other people.
I visited you in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
You and one of our other friends. I used to go to Winnipeg a lot. We have family down there.
You've been to Calgary?
Oh, yes, I did actually go to Calgary and then study there for a month to be a dog groomer.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I ended up meeting someone from Toronto. We ended up sharing a room, and I had never understood dorms because I never went to university. So, you know, when you go to university and you're in a dorm, I guess you've never had this either.
No, I've never stayed in a dorm.
But they kind of like put 2 strangers together and you live together.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it felt like when I went to this thing because we both had a hotel room that was paid for by the company we were working for. And we didn't know each other from Adam. And we just hoped we got along, which we did. We got along quite good. She wanted to strangle me. I was a big snorer. So she wanted to strangle me most of the time. But other than that, yeah, Calgary. I love Calgary. Anything out west, really. I haven't really been out east. I want to be out east. Just to
Toronto. You came to Toronto. And then I think our UK trip was the first time across the country, like the pond.
Yeah. The UK trip was the biggest trip I've ever taken.
Oh.
It's been, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've wanted to travel a lot, but I've had a very overprotective mother.
Yeah, when we said we were going to London, she thought London, Ontario, and then was angry because she couldn't come rescue you if something went wrong.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you going to rescue me from, Mom? It's across the ocean. What are you going to do with your walker? What are you going to do for me?
And you were, 29.
Yeah, I mean, I love my mom, but she's very overprotective.
Sometimes.
Yeah, she's hit or miss.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, but those are all mine. I mean, you've traveled more extensively than I have.
So my parents took me to Vancouver for the first time when I was 3. to visit my dad's family. And then I went with my Oma to visit my aunt and uncle who I ended up living with. And then I went by myself to visit my aunt and uncle. So I went to Vancouver several times before I actually moved there. That's how I knew I wanted to live there, because I love the city so much. So instead of like a normal person, you pick a university based on a program you want to be a part of. I picked a university based on where it was because I wanted to live there, which I don't regret because it was awesome. And then I drove between where we live and Vancouver 9 times. Back and forth. And I traveled to Egypt as part of our high school travel club, which was a really interesting trip, probably why I study the ancient Near East now. And my parents took us to the Dominican Republic after my dad's parents passed away. And I went to Guatemala as part of a field school through my university in my first year, which was awesome. And it was a sociology field school, and I went to the Del Monte plantations. And maybe one day I'll talk about some of the things we got up to there, because we had armed guards at some of the spots just because of where we were and who we were with, which is really cool. And I met a lot of really awesome people. And so maybe I'll talk about that in more detail sometime.
Yeah, that'd definitely be interesting. I'd be down to hear more.
And then for conferences, I've traveled to... I also went to New York as a band trip, or performing arts trip, I guess, because we did no band stuff, and it was all related to mostly acting. And as someone who's not an actor, that was interesting.
And you lost me.
Yeah, we lost you. Sorry.
I've never been to New York. They named a hamster Bailey.
A stuffed hamster.
And decided to take pictures with it all over New York.
And then we forgot it at the hotel on the way back.
So I was left in New York.
You were left in New York. And
they were going to give it to me as like a souvenir and then show me all these pictures of where they had brought this thing, but then they had left it. So they're like, we didn't do it anymore.
Oops.
Oops.
So then I've been to Chicago and to Boston twice now. 3 times maybe in November. In March this year, I took my Oma to Holland for a conference, and then to travel and see the country and to meet family I've never met, which was actually really great because I got along really well with them, and they all speak English, which was awesome because my Dutch is very limited to only being Gildad and in trouble. So that was good. My Oma was fun in Holland. She had a great time, which was awesome. I had always wanted to take her there or to go with her, and I'd been whining about it since I was, 8. And she always said, when you're older, I'll take you. And then finally she said, if you had a reason to go there, I might come with you. So I called her. I said, pack your bags. We're going to Holland. I got a conference there. And she was a little apprehensive at first. But once we got there, she had a great time, which was really nice to see. We went to the village her and my Opa grew up in. And I got to see the places where they lived and places they worked, and where their families came from. And we went to the graveyard and visited her family there, it was a really great trip. But I was horribly sick the entire time with a horrible cold. So I don't know. I'm just always sick when I travel.
You are, especially overseas, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know. I just had really rotten luck the last few times where I'm just like so sick. But other than that, it was really great. Now my mom wants to travel more with me, so she's like, where are we going next? We'll see. Maybe next summer. But yeah, it was really nice to go with her. It was funny because my Oma is obviously fluent in Dutch, but she would only speak English to people. And they'd be very confused because obviously not everybody speaks English there. And then she would start speaking Dutch to me, but I don't speak Dutch, so I'd have to say wrong person. And sometimes she wouldn't even know realize what language she was speaking in. She kept flip-flopping between the two, and seemed a little confusing for her. And even talking to my grandfather and my brother on video chat every night, she would flip-flop, and my Opa would just say, yeah, you're doing it again. Which was really cute, and I'd have to remind her, speak Dutch to the people you're talking to so they can understand. But yeah, it was very nice. It was very sweet. So those are my travel adventures.
Yeah, you're definitely more well-traveled than I am.
I like to be more well-traveled.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know me very well yet, I'm a homebody. It takes a lot to get me to go places.
The only reason I got you to go to the UK is because I forced you to buy the plane ticket.
Yes.
I'm still surprised we made it there.
We did, and we had a blast.
And hopefully next year, Iceland. I'd like to go to Greece.
Yeah, those are definitely two places on my list.
If I go to Greece, I'd like to go to Turkey. I have friends who live in Turkey, so it'd be really nice to go and visit. I also want to go to South America at some point.
Yeah, I will say that the trip to London kind of opened my eyes to international travel, and I liked it.
I love Europe.
I want to do more. I was looking up Scottish visas. I was like, if I could go anywhere, I'd go back to Scotland.
Scotland was amazing. I'm just going to say it. I will go back to Scotland with you.
I'd live there. They need dog groomers over there, you know?
I mean, if you're living there, I'll live in England. I'll come up to visit you on the long weekend. I mean, 3 hours isn't that far away.
Right? 3 hours? What's that?
Yeah, what's that? I live 16 hours away from you now.
I'm pretty sure where we're living now, the closest city is 3 hours. Or 4? Yeah.
3?
3 hours? Yeah. So, I mean, once you live in Canada, Scotland or Europe is just like a hop, skip, and a jump, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
More to come.
More to come. Hopefully. But yeah, you know what? We'll leave it there for now, guys. And we hope to have a great summer with y'all.
And we look forward to watching Ancient Aliens on our next episode.
Yeah, look forward to that. All right, guys. Cheers. That's all for today. Catch us on Instagram, where we drop teasers for the next show, and our Discord account. Links are down below.